He's the only one that,
Yep. Commercial.
WVVF
You got
is
something
your
going on?
hometown radio
Yes.
station.
Whatever matters.
And one of the things we
Yep.
like to do
That's
to
right.
support
The show from 11 to
your
12.
hometown is to
All right,
run
boss, I'm
community
clearing out
announcements.
these federal credit
If
union
you do
spots.
belong to a nonprofit group or
yeah,
organization,
don't take them out though.
Well, they're
We just
being
want to not play them.
they're being erased. There's a line through them. Now, obviously, if you call me tomorrow and say put them back in, they'll just be written back in the log.
Yeah.
So they're not being eliminated. They're just it's a reminder. I put a line through them, going okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
play
a
that.
reminder not to play it.
Not to play.
And where did Tom Quinn district attorney stuff come from?
This
We've
attorney's
had-
office. We've had it for a
Yeah,
lot of years.
we've had it for a long time. It's kind of the same ad that we've done. The
Yeah.
same ads that we've done every year. So.
Yeah, but
The
I
opinions
didn't get
expressed on this
any-
program are those of the host
We have
and do
no
not
ads
express
for
the
him
views
this
of WVDF.
This
He
year,
wasn't running.
Yeah.
For sure.
Radio.
He is
Content
running.
and on all programs
Yeah,
are
from
those of
an-
the host
these are ads from another year.
Yeah, it's just a
That,
holiday.
they just don't have the what's the word? They don't have like a Pacific year on them. It's just a general ad.
Okay, he's got to go to work. And so do I.
Okay.
Oh, what about Paul?
Let's go on. So he can do his show.
Now, here is Joey Driscoll with Middleboro Matters.
Be right back, sir.
And good morning and welcome to Middleboro Matters. I am Joey Driscoll. Today is the 22nd of December, 2025. It is a Monday. Open phone lines today, 508-822-1106. 508-822-1106 is number. If you want to call in, talk about what is on your mind this morning, you can do so. We are going to do a lot of different things on the show today. We'll talk about some local events coming up. It is Christmas week. Christmas is on Thursday, so we'll talk about a lot about Christmas-related items as well. We'll do our sports. We'll do our transportation on the show as well, which there is some new stuff with the MBTA for January that I want to talk about. The closure that was happening on the Green Line, that is, I believe, on its last day today. So anyone who's looking to take the Green Line over the holiday weekend, over the holiday and holiday weekend, can do so with no issues, because I believe today is the last day of the closure. That closure was going on for about 2 weeks or so. They're doing a lot of signal improvements, signal upgrades to a lot of the lines there, on the green, orange, red lines, et cetera. So they're doing a lot of that this year, and that looks like it might continue into next year with the January work. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on the transportation. And again, of course, your phone calls. But let's start off with our sports. As I mentioned at the end of the last hour, today is everyone's favorite college bowl game. It's one of mine because of just how unique it is. And the turf, as Ron had mentioned, it's a blue turf. They play in Boise. Boise, Idaho is one of the most interesting fields there with the blue turf. And that is going to be an interesting game in Boise, Idaho, this afternoon. That is a 2:00 game on ESPN. It will be Washington State taking on Utah State. So these two teams, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun game. It's the Idaho Potato Bowl. Again, one of the bigger bowl games. This is like one of the first big bowl game of the bowl season, in my opinion. It's the Idaho Potato Bowl. Then we kind of get into a couple of other games this week as well. Tomorrow, Toledo takes on Louisville. at 2 p.m. That is the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl, another big game as well. The New Orleans Bowl is tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. start, and that will be on ESPN. All these games on Tuesday will be on ESPN. It's a 5:30 start. That is Western Kentucky taking on Southern Miss, and then the nightcap on ESPN is the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. There we go. That is at 9 o'clock, and that's on ESPN as well. UNLV taking on Ohio. Then on Wednesday, it is California taking on Hawaii in the Hawaii Bowl. I know who I'm picking for that one. It's going to be quite easy, I think, in my opinion. They have home field advantage. It'll be a tough game for Hawaii. But I think Hawaii will win that game. They have, again, home field advantage. I think they're playing at home. Basically, they're home field. The Sheraton Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve, 8 p.m. start on ESPN. So that should be a fun matchup as well. Take a quick look at FCS and Division II and Division III. Illinois State takes on Montana State in the FCS Championship. That is at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN on Monday, January the 5th. So that is 2 Mondays from today. That is going to be a very interesting and fun game, I'm sure. Both teams had a pretty tough and long road to get to the FCS championship game. And this is kind of surprising. No North Dakota State, no South Dakota State. 2 different teams in here. I mean, Montana State has been, I believe, in this position before. Illinois State, though, I think they're a newer team to the FCS championship. I don't think they've made it before. So you got that as well. So that's pretty interesting. The FCS championship is going to be a fun matchup, I'm sure, for this year. So Division II, their championship was on Saturday. It was Ferris State. It was Harding University. Ferris State defeating Harding 42-21. And that was a big game for Ferris there. The Division III championship will take place on Sunday, January the 4th at 8 p.m. on ESPN. That will be Wisconsin River Falls taking on North Central College. North Central College is undefeated. I feel like North Central College probably has the upper hand, but seeing what happened in the semifinal between Johns Hopkins University and Wisconsin River Falls, I was checking out some highlights of that game. That was a wild game for Wisconsin River Falls, and they picked up a huge win there, 48-41 late in the game. And I feel like Wisconsin River Falls is going to come into this game, and they're going to do very, very well. I don't know who will win this one. I think this is a very, very tough one to pick. And going over to the college football playoff real quick, the bracket. We are in the second round. We're in the quarterfinal. It begins on New Year's Eve. It is Ohio State taking on Miami. That will be in the Cotton Bowl. That was on December 31st on ESPN, 7:30 p.m. start. That'll be a tough one for Miami, but Miami shocked the world in round 1. Can they do it again in round 2? Very possible. Very, very possible. This also quiets, I think, the Notre Dame fans that Miami is in the second round and has a potential to get even further. Miami was picked over Notre Dame to make the college football playoff. A lot of people were mad about that, but seeing how Alabama is now in the second round and now Miami is in the second round as well, there is really no argument that the college football playoff committee made the right choice in picking these teams that they picked for the playoff. I think they made the right choice at the end of the day. You may not like the choices that they made, but again, at the end of the day, they did make the right choice. Georgia takes on Ole Miss, 8 p.m. start on New Year's Day in the All-State Sugar Bowl on ESPN. Then Alabama will take on Indiana and will probably promptly lose to Indiana. Indiana is a lot of people's odds-on favorite to win the college football playoff. Alabama won't be an easy team to beat, though. Indiana will have to fight for that win. But it's a January 1st, 4 p.m. start on ESPN. That is the Rose Bowl. That's the big bowl game for the year. That's the Rose Bowl. And at noon on ESPN, it is Oregon versus Texas Tech. That'll be a big game for both teams. I think it's pretty even between these two. That'll be on January 1st as well on ESPN at noon. That is the Orange Bowl. So that's pretty much all your college football playoff stuff that I wanted to mention. Another quick thing I'll mention here. I mentioned this last week that on ESPN there's a little bit of a bowl mania challenge that they do every year, and I been participating in it this year, and not doing very well at it. Not doing very well at it. I'm 6-5 so far, which is not amazing. That's a winning record. It's a winning record, but 6-5, not great. Not great to start. The bracket challenge, the college football playoff mania, the college football bowl mania challenge thing they got going on ESPN. 6-5, not great start. But yeah, there's your little bit of an update on that. All right, 11:18 a.m. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we will switch to talking about some local events going on in the area for Christmas. We'll also, a little bit later on, like I said earlier, we'll be talking about our transportation topic as well. So stay tuned for that. It is 11:19 a.m. Let's take our news break and we'll be right back. Our commercial break. News break is coming up at 11:30. We'll be right back. No restarting. There we go. Thank you. Start.
Middleboro Gas Line would like to share your latest details with you. Whether you're planting shrubs or putting in a new mailbox, DigSafe will help locate underground pipes and wires on your property and mark them to help prevent any damage. Before you begin, you must call 811 for any project that requires digging, drilling, excavating, grading, or trenching. A damaged gas line may create an explosion hazard that could result in loss of service, severe property damage, or worse. Don't take a chance. Call 811 before you dig.
Okay, do 140 real quick. Come on. 140, enter. Good.
WBBF is your hometown radio station.
That one.
And one of the things we like
Rest
to do to support
these,
people in your hometown is to run community
all this
announcements.
stuff.
If you do belong to a nonprofit group
Good.
or organization, or if you're an official with a city or town government, send your community announcements along to our email address. It's safe, it's fast, and allows us to get right back to you if we have a question. Send your community announcements to WBBF1530@hotmail.com. That's WBBF1530@hotmail.com. Thank you for listening. Your hometown radio station is AM 1530, WBBF and 99.7 FM.
78.
Hi, I'm Chris Keach of the Morning Wake Up News here at WBBM.
All right.
My good friend Joey Driscoll has an amazing program all about Middleboro Sunday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. It's called Middleboro in Review. He talks about sports. He talks about local events in Middleboro and anything of interest in Middleboro and beyond. So join him, Middleboro in Review, with Joey Driscoll, Sunday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. only here at AM 1530 WBBF and at 99.7 FM.
Yeah. And we're back here. And it is 11:22 a.m. Open phone line today, 508-822-1106, 508-822-1106 is the number if you want to call in. Again, open phone line today, talk about whatever is on your mind this morning. As we approach Christmas, Christmas is this Thursday. That's coming up very quickly here, so there you go. I want to mention something very, very important here. As we get into the holiday season, scammers are rampant and want to make everyone aware of something that's going on in Middleboro. Scammers are targeting Middleboro with fraudulent demands for payment regarding warrants and arrest. The Middleboro Police Department warns residents of an active scam targeting the town of Middleboro. The department reported that residents have received fraudulent phone calls from scammers who say the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department is demanding payment to avoid arrest for outstanding warrants. These calls are fraudulent. The department shared these safety tips for residents. Government agencies do not request payment over the phone to prevent arrest. Government agencies will never accept payment via Bitcoin, Apple gift cards, Apple Pay cards as well, iTunes cards. Any demand for immediate payment using these methods is a scam. If you received a call like this, do not provide any personal and financial information. Hang up immediately and report the incident to police. That is very good. That's very good advice there. Again, if you get a phone call like this, just hang it up. Hang it up and report it to police. These scams are extremely rampant, especially during the holiday season. So if you get a phone call like this or any scam phone call like this, just hang it up. And if it's something like what was mentioned here, someone asking for payment to avoid arrest, report it to the police. Or if you get something from the someone saying from the FBI, report it to the FBI as well, because that also has happened before in the past, where scammers would call or will call and pretend to be the FBI. That's happened in the past as well. So again, be very, very careful of these scam calls. If you get one of these, just hang it up. All right, we just wanted to make sure we mentioned that because that's something that's going on in Middleboro, and especially frustrating to hear that that's happening during the holiday season as well. So, want to mention here another thing we want to mention. There's several different things actually we're going to mention here. The Oliver Estate lights up for the holidays. The historic Oliver Estate transformed for the holidays with model trains chugging along festive tracks and a twinkling Christmas village display stretching through most of the house. The Middleboro Tourism Committee, headed by Leilani Delpy, hosted the first time event on the 2 weekends leading up to Christmas. Along with decorations, the event also included activities, vendors, and refreshments. It took about 20 volunteers to make each night run smoothly, from the train operators and vendor coordinators to the people running the cookie decorating and ornament making stations. Leilani said that the committee was unsure how many people to expect, as it never has organized an event like this, but over 1,000 people visited in the 4 days it ran. That's very, very impressive numbers there. So that is a pretty big news there. A lot of great Christmas events happen in Middleboro. They do a very, very good job. The tourism committee does a very, very good job at setting up a lot of different events surrounding Christmas and the New Year's as well. They'll have an event coming up for New Year's as well, which we'll probably talk more about after Christmas. But they also do a lot of good events surrounding New Year's as well. Middleboro does. So we have that coming up, or we had that going on. Coming up today, yesterday actually, this happened as well. So this was an event that happened yesterday. I talked about this on Friday. The Very Merry Dickens Carolers performed at the Middleboro Town Hall yesterday. And they were decked out in garments similar to ones that were worn in the 1800s. The event was organized by the Peter H. Pierce Homestead Group. Paula Fay, the director of the group, said the free concert was its 23rd Sunday concert series show. She said the events usually draw more than a more mature crowd, but many people in their 30s, young families, and people from out of town have begun to attend more. And again, I think events like this are a perfect way to get people to come out who aren't from Middleboro. I think these are great events that promote the town of Middleboro perfectly. I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing. So the Very Merry Dickens Carolers are a group of professional singers specializing in 4-part harmonica, a cappella. I apologize. A cappella harmonies. Their repertoire includes classic carols, and festive winter songs as well. They have performed over the years on the Today Show, at Central Park in New York, and across Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. So very, very, very popular there. So there you go. Wanted to talk about that as well. So we got that. The animal shelter. I've talked about this, I believe, as well on Friday. But the town of Middleboro is still accepting donations for the Middleboro Animal Shelter through the end of the year at the town clerk's office. There's still time for dog owners to donate and be entered for a chance to receive a tag that reads Dog Tag Number 1 and the title of Top Dog as a prize. Donations will be accepted through the end of the year, December 31st. Donations can include blankets, towels, dog beds, tennis balls, toys, treats, and an Amazon gift card. The town clerk's office, that's located at 20 Center Street. All right. It is 11:30. Let's take our news break. When we come back, we'll have more local stories and local events to talk about. Then we'll get into a little bit more sports. I did the college football playoff side of the sports in this first half hour. In the second half hour, we'll talk about the Patriots and their impressive win last night, as Drake May continues to march on to what I believe will be an MVP season. We'll see. We'll see what happens if Josh Allen has anything to say about that. Josh Allen is still doing very, very well. They were in a pretty tough matchup against the Browns yesterday. They did pick up the win. So it's still kind of a fight in the AFC East. But the AFC as a whole is back to being tied because the Broncos were defeated by the Packers yesterday. So there you go. That's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. So we'll see what happens with the AFC. But anyway, let's take our news break. We'll be right back. Like, what's the Packers? No. Crap, it was the Jaguars. It was the Jaguars they were facing. Crap, not the Packers. The Broncos. It was the Jaguars, not the Packers. The Packers faced the Bears this week. Yesterday. Duh. Dummy. I'll make that correction when I come back.
Third assassination of a senior Russian military officer in just over.
But yeah, Jacksonville did well. Jacksonville is a team to watch. Broncos needed to win that game. So now in the AFC as a whole, it's tied. In the AFC East, I believe the Bills still have the upper hand.
And eventually will release all of the thousands of documents.
They have to win out.
Critics are not satisfied.
They have to win out to win the AFC East.
Trying to hide
Broncos?
No, the Bills. They have to win out.
Yes.
They can't lose.
Retirement savings in the past.
We have an easier 2 games left than they do.
Fell more than 15%
Looking at the final 2 games, we have an easier 2 games.
Basically,
We play the Jets and the Dolphins. The Dolphins are going to be tough.
With how dismal
The Dolphins are going to be tough.
was under Trump, that has completely.
I believe that's at home,
reversed, and
though.
almost all of those losses have actually been
Thank.
recouped now,
What's
which is
that?
really,
The Dolphins
really
game.
great.
Is that
news.
Dolphins
Heritage
game's at home.
Foundation,
Yeah.
DJ and Tony.
And then the Jets game's in New York.
Yes.
Or New Jersey. Let's say New Jersey. Let's just change their name to the New Jersey Jets. Call
Be
it
nice if they did.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 188 points. The Nasdaq better by 102 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford.
Are you doing the quarterly report?
Yes,
sir.
Okay. As I guess I can, unless you already know them.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah, because I got the stuff I can let you know about what happened.
On this past Friday.
Remember, Big Lou's like you.
Danny Taylor left this past Friday.
Call 800-524-4948 or Big Lou.
Tentatively, this week is Paul Lazarovich.
Got no word on a motive for a deadly
Calling
attack
in.
at a pub.
In South Africa, 9 people were killed and at least 10 injured early Sunday in a shooting that started at that tavern in Beckersdal, about 28 miles from Johannesburg, and spilled into the street. Local police commissioner, Major General Fred Kakanis, says about a dozen gunmen had 9mm pistols and 1 AK-47 when they got out of cars and started shooting.
The 2 other people tried to run away. They got into their black box that was here. They were shot and killed while they.
Police say a car service driver dropping off a client was also shot and killed. I'm Julie Walker.
Israel's finance minister says the Israeli cabinet has approved 19 new Jewish settlements in the West Bank. The decision part of a broader push by the government to expand settlement activity in the West Bank. News and analysis at townhall.com. It may not be on the scale of the Louvre heist, but an employee at the French presidential residence is accused of pocketing thousands of dollars worth of tableware.
A silver steward who works at Élysée Palace, the official residence of France's president, is accused of being a palace pilferer, allegedly taking up to $55,000 in silverware and other tableware. According to the Paris prosecutor's office, the head steward at the palace reported the disappearance and the company that supplied most of the items identified them on online auction websites. Officials say the silver steward
Okay.
question had inventory records that gave the impression he was planning future thefts. And they found some 100 objects in his personal locker, his vehicle, and home. I'm Donna Warner.
NATO
Okay.
believes that Russia may be working on a weapon that would target Elon Musk's Starlink satellites. Townhall.com.
Oh yeah, that's totally a good idea, Russia. Do that. Totally. Yeah. See what happens. See what happens, Russia. That's a totally good idea. Some of the stuff Russia comes up with is so just ridiculous. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, we're back here on. It is Middleboro Matters today. It is the 22nd of December, 2025. I want to make a quick correction of something I said before the break. The Broncos did not lose to the Packers. The Broncos lost to the Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars, which was a very impressive win by Jacksonville, by the way. Jacksonville, they are doing very, very well. They're kind of showing over the past couple of years at times that 2018 AFC Championship game appearance was not a fluke. At times, they struggled. At times, they had seasons where they weren't that impressive. There've been some growing pains there with Trevor Lawrence, but seems like they got the right recipe going on over there in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence and the coaching staff and the players that they got on that team. They're not a team to be messed with, I think, in the playoffs. I think that's a team that you got to watch very, very carefully once the playoffs start up. So that'll be interesting. Another team not to be messed with is the New England Patriots. We'll talk about the New England Patriots as well, and what their final 2 games will look like, what the Bills' final 2 games will look like as well, because we're going to talk about the Bills. It's kind of down to the Bills and the Patriots in the AFC East. It seems like, and we're going to talk about the Broncos as well, their final 2 games, and what has to happen for the Patriots to win the AFC East, what has to happen for the Patriots to win the AFC as a whole. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But I wanted to very quickly make that correction. Open phone lines today, 508-822-1106 is the number to call if you want to call in, talk about what was on your mind this morning. A couple other things I want to talk about here real quick. First off, one other big news story for the Middleboro and Lakeville area. Lakeville and Middleboro have partnered with the Southeastern Regional Planning and Economic Development District, that's SERPED, to complete a regional digital equity plan. The communities of Carver, Lakeville, and Middleboro are working together to help everyone across the region have effective access to the internet. The project is asking residents to complete a survey that details their internet access experiences. The link to the survey can be found at www.mbicx.qualitrix.com, and they have a form there. Or if you just go to the Damascus Week website and find the Middleboro Lakeville Seek Community Input on Internet Access article, the link will be there as well. For questions about this, you can contact KW Hallen at serped.org or call 508-824-1367 at extension 316. So that's going to be a pretty interesting thing, the survey there over the next couple of probably weeks that's probably going to be going on for. So there you go. Another thing I want to mention here, we talked about this a couple of times, and it's now it's available through the 10th of January. That is Coats for Kids and Families. Donate coats now until January the 10th. Donate gently used warm winter coats for children and adults at any Anton's Cleaners, Jordan's Furniture, or a Rockland Trust location. And coats only, please. All sizes are welcome. Coats are professionally cleaned by Anton's and distributed to families in need through a network of over 90 social service agencies, schools, and nonprofit organizations. So there you go. We have that going on all the way up until January the 10th. We'll probably talk about that a couple of more times here between now and then. And then one other thing I want to mention, and then we'll take our next commercial break so we can reset, and we'll do our sports, the rest of our sports. Talk about the Patriots, talk about the Bruins, talk about the Celtics real fast, and their affiliates, the Celtics and the Bruins affiliates as well. We'll talk about that as well. And we'll talk about the Red Sox. We finally have something to talk about the Red Sox with. Finally. Thank you, John Henry and the Red Sox, for actually doing something. We'll talk about what they did during the sports, and it's pretty big. So we'll talk about that as well during the sports. And then we'll do our transportation topic to finish off the hour today. But one other thing I want to mention here before we take our break is that there are 2 blood drives coming up for the remainder of December. That is tomorrow, Tuesday, December 23rd at Temple Shalom, 239 Depot Street. That's Southeastern, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for that blood drive. And then we got Monday, the 29th of December at Norton Public Library, 68 East Main Street in Norton, 12 to 5 p.m. for that blood drive. So if you're able to go to either of those 2 blood drives, you can sign up with the Red Cross website there. And then if you're unable to make those 2 blood drives, there are still options for you to do blood donation if you're able to. Blood donation centers in Kingston and in Raynham are available as well anytime. So we have that going on as well. I always like to talk about blood drives when I get the chance to do that. It's very important. So there you go. 11:43 a.m. Let's take our last commercial break, and we'll be right back here on Middleboro Matters for December 22nd, 2025. Open phone lines 508-822-1106 if you want to call in, and we'll be right back. Definitely do definitely talk about Taunton Public Library winter hours. And then switch over to sports. Okay. 392, enter. Good.
Hi, neighbor. Middleboro Gas Library would like to share a quick safety tip with you. Many people have been taking on home improvements this year, but have you also upgraded your electrical safety system? Older homes, like so many in our area, have outdated breakers and wiring that may not meet the high power needs of modern technology. A licensed electrician knows all the code requirements, including the latest updates adopted just last year. You can find an easy-to-read summary of home upgrades to consider at mged.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Keach of the Morning Wake Up News here at WVBF. My good friend Joey Driscoll has an amazing program all about Middleboro, Sunday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. It's called Middleboro in Review. He talks about sports. He talks about local events in Middleboro and anything of interest in Middleboro and beyond. So join him, Middleboro in Review with Joey Driscoll, Sunday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. only here at AM 1530 WVBS and at 99.7 FM.
All right, we're back here on Middleboro matters. Real quick before we start our finish up with the sports here. Taunton Public Library, their winter holiday hours are as so here. Coming up tomorrow, they're open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, they are closed. Open again Saturday, December 27th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wednesday, December 31st, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Thursday, January the 1st, 2026, they're closed. January 2nd, they're closed as well. And January the 3rd, their hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So there you go. Those are the Taunton Public Library winter holiday hours there for the next couple of weeks. And yeah, winter again. We're into winter. Christmas is this Thursday. So there you go. All right, our sports. Now, the Patriots. Very impressive fourth quarter. 15 points in the fourth quarter. They snuck past the Ravens 28-24. Very impressive game there for the Patriots. And Drake May continues to have a very, very good year. Probably one of his best games of the season last night. And he continues to make a very good case for why he should be MVP at the end of the year. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's still Josh Allen out there making his case. There's still some other quarterbacks out there in the NFC that are trying to make their case as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Stafford as well, trying to make his case. The Rams are doing very, very well this year. So yeah, we have all of that. Patriots did defeat the Ravens 28-24. Ravens have to win out now. I don't foresee that happening. Their last two games are very, very difficult. I think they'll lose one of those games and they'll be out of the playoffs. They'll probably finish the year 8-9. Probably. Worst case scenario, they finish 7-10. And they'll have to go back to the drawing board. A lot of people were talking about the Ravens this year, saying that they were probably one of the teams that were going to be Super Bowl favorites. A lot of people were saying that about the Chiefs as well. Well, the Chiefs are out. Ravens are probably going to be out. The Lions as well. The Lions aren't really that good. They probably still will make the playoffs, I think, but they're really not good. The Lions as well. They're a team that was probably being talked about quite a bit as a favorite or as a team that could make it to the Super Bowl. I don't really foresee that happening now. A lot of people were not talking about, the Broncos. A lot of people were not talking about the Patriots. And these are teams that are in the thick of it when it comes to being the number one seed in the AFC. So let's talk about the Patriots real quick. Patriots, their final two games of the year are the Jets this Sunday in East Rutherford. And then they finish the year at home at Foxborough. They'll take on the Dolphins. And the Dolphins game, that'll be a tough one to end the year. That'll be a tough one. That's probably one where if the Broncos lose this upcoming week, and we win, that's probably a game where we sit May. That's probably a game where we start. I hope that we would start DeVito, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think it would be Dobbs that we would start, as he is our backup. But no, I don't know. That'll be an interesting game to see what happens. But if the Broncos do win and we win, then Drake May will play the final game of the year, because that will be a more important game if the Broncos win next week and we win next week, which I assume we will win. It's against the Jets. The Jets aren't great. The Jets are kind of in a spot where they're trying to fight for the number one spot in the draft. I don't think they're going to give the Patriots that much of an issue. The Dolphins, however, have more to play for. So that would be a tough game. That last game of the year. But that's the last two games for the Patriots. The last two games for the Bills. This is a team that we have to kind of keep an eye on very, very closely. They almost lost to the Browns this week, 23-20. Of course, a lot of people are looking at the Browns as well because Myles Garrett is very, very close to that sack record. I don't think he broke it yesterday, but there are still 2 games to go for him to do so. And I think he only needs about a sack and a half. So that's very doable. It's very, very doable for him to break the sack record. So we'll see what happens with the Browns. And if he does break the sack record, I'll talk about it as well. But the Bills have the Eagles next week. That is not an easy game. Not an easy game at all. And then they get the Jets after that. Much easier game there. But the Bills, they have to win out as well as now, as it stands right now. They have to win out to win the AFC East. And that'll be a tough one. Against the Eagles. I could see the Bills losing against the Eagles. Another team that has to win out in order to pass the Patriots and secure number 1 in the AFC, that's the Denver Broncos. And they kind of have a similar path here when it comes to teams. They have a pretty easy game next week. They have the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't believe I'm saying that's an easy game, but seeing as how the Chiefs are now playing a third-string quarterback, Gardner Minshew is now hurt with the same injury that took down Patrick Mahomes for the year. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Chiefs are winning against the Broncos, regardless of what they have on their offense, which is still pretty impressive. The Chiefs, they're not a horrible team. They just don't have the quarterback to match what the team is. Again, I think the Chiefs will be back next year, and it'll be a very interesting team to watch. And most likely they'll be without Travis Kelce. He hasn't announced he's going to retire, but it seems very likely he will. So we'll see what happens next year, how the Chiefs respond to that. But anyway, the Chiefs versus the Broncos, that'll be an interesting game to watch for the Broncos. And the Broncos have a very tough one against the Chargers to end the year. So that'll be a game to watch as well. The Denver Broncos and the Chiefs, by the way, they play on Christmas. They play this Thursday on Christmas, 8:15 p.m. So that'll be an interesting game. So there are your teams to watch. It's the Bills and the Broncos. Those are your teams to watch the next 2 weeks to root for their opponents. And also root for the Patriots to win out as well, because that helps us get the number 1 seed in the AFC and get the number 1 seed in the AFC, get the number 1 spot in the AFC East, and to win the AFC East for the first time in quite a while, for the first time in a couple of years, actually. So we'll see what happens there. All right, it is 11:55. Switching over to our transportation topic, we got some things going on for the MBTA in January, and see if I can find that, if that is out now, the information with that. But let's get an update on what's going on around some of the lines here, the subway lines. Start with the red line, and we have shuttle buses that will be replacing service between Broadway and North Quincy and Broadway and Ashmont. That's the weekend of January 31st and February 1st for track work. This is to allow for upgrading and testing of the signal system, which they've been working on all of this year. They're going to be doing more testing of that as well. And oh boy, there's a lot of elevator and escalator closures on the red line. That's kind of become a thing that me and Don have talked about it briefly. At certain points, the amount of elevator and escalator closures across the MBTA is just ridiculous. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's ridiculous how many elevators and escalators are broken or not working. So, wow. Anyway, that's the red line there. The Mattapan trolley. There's never anything interesting that happens with the Mattapan trolley when it comes to work that's being done. Mattapan trolley runs pretty smoothly. It's a line that barely has any issues. Mattapan trolley always runs pretty smoothly, along with the blue line. We'll talk about the blue line in just a minute, but going over to the orange line. The orange line service will be suspended between Wellington and Back Bay the weekend of January 10th and 11th. That's for signal system upgrades. Use shuttles between Wellington and North Station. Use the green line between North Station and Copley Back Bay. And again, there's for the orange line, there's 5 elevator and escalator closures. For the red line, it's like double that. So it's an issue. It's an issue. Well, we'll just say it's an issue. But there you go. And then there's still the Jackson Square station issues going on with construction going on at Jackson Square on the orange line. So we have the blue line. Again, blue line always is pretty smooth. And there's only one elevator and escalator closure on the blue line. So there you go. That's interesting. Shuttle for the blue line as well. There'll be no train service between Bowdoin and Airport. That is going to be the weekend of January 24th to 25th. Maintenance work, shuttle buses will replace service between airport and downtown. Riders downtown can board airport shuttles. You can do that at Haymarket. That's the blue line. Again, the blue line always runs pretty smoothly. When there's work that needs to be done, it gets done on the blue line. There's really never anything that really pops up for issues on the blue line at all. Finally, the green line. As I mentioned earlier on, there is a closure going on there for the green line up until the end of the date today. And then there's no work currently scheduled there on the green line for January. I'm sure we'll learn more about that as well. But green line seems like it's doing pretty well as well since the extension opened. Real quick, since I talked about it on the other lines, elevator and escalator closures is only 2. So again, green line's doing pretty well. Just that 2-week suspension kind of threw a lot of wrenches in people's travel plans, I'm sure, for those 2 weeks that the green line was closed. But it will be open tomorrow. It's closed through today and it will be open tomorrow. So there you go. There is your quick little update about what's going on across the subway lines on the MBTA. Got a lot of work being done in January. There's also a schedule that's out now for the World Cup for the trains and what's going on with all that. World Cup is less than 6 months away now at this point. So they're getting ready for that. There will be several World Cup matches at Gillette Stadium. So it'll be an interesting summer at Gillette Stadium. All right, we'll be back next Monday for another edition of Middleboro Matters. I'll be back on the air once again on a Friday for another edition of Hometown Talk. It'll be Paul Lazarovich calling in, talking about Christmas and his show as well. So stay tuned for that on Friday, this upcoming Friday, 10:35 a.m. So have a great week, everybody. Have a great Christmas, and bye-bye.
We are AM 730.
Okay, there we go. Perfect.
According to 3 U.S. officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss
All right.
evacuation.
And this.
Days after
Bye-bye, everybody.
that he would crack down on sanctioned vessels involved in the country's oil trade.